Hi, my name is Ebrahimoff. Some people have come to know me as the Haftorahman. I set out in life to revive the mitzvah of Haftorahs, based on a challenge that my rabbi gave me to find a mitzvah to revive. And I stumbled across that not many people knew much about the Haftorahs. We go to synagogue on Shabbat, and that we say Shema Yisrael, we say Shmona Esrei, we say the prayers, we follow along in the Torah reading, and then suddenly, what happens? Either people go out, and it becomes the battle of the spirits, a bottle of spirits, and the Jewish spirit, or they just sit there, and they don't know much about what's going on. So, I came up with a formula. There are 7 points in the formula that if you know these 7 points, you'll be able to decode every Haftorah, all 80 of them. The first point is, why are we reading this Haftorah? The second one, who wrote the Haftorah? What Navi, what prophet wrote this? Number 3, where did he live? Number 4, when did he live? Number 5, did he say anything famous that maybe made it into our Sidur? 6, what's the storyline? And 7, what lesson can we learn from all of this? And I do this in less than 5 minutes. So, all of the Haftorahs come from a unique period of time out of our 5,771 years of history. It's a 1,000-year period, and the sweet spot is when the state of Israel was united. We had the city of Jerusalem as our capital. The Beit HaMikdash, the Holy Temple, was standing. All 613 mitzvot were kept. Not like today, we can only keep 200. We had kings, we had prophets, we had Kohanim, priests. Jews would come from all over Israel 3 times a year to go on Shalosh Regalim, on the pilgrim holidays, to celebrate and worship to God. So you can imagine this period of time is our Jewish heyday. You can know Chumash, but we're not living in the land of Israel. And you could study Gemara, but you're living in a time well after our exile and destruction of both temples. So my point is, if we paid attention during the Haftorahs and we learned what they were about, we would get in touch with the history and the spirituality of the Jewish people. And that's what I set out to do with the Haftorahs. So where did they come from? Haftorah, actually, you should know what the word means. It means supplemental reading. However, they say the origin of Haftorah came from this evil Greek king decree that Jewish people should not learn Torah on Shabbos together in a synagogue, read from the Torah. And what was his name? Antiochus Epiphanes. He was the great Antiochus, king of the Seleucids, the Greeks, that empire. So what happened? The men of the great assembly said, he told us we're not allowed to read from the Torah scrolls, and as the story goes, he didn't say anything about learning from the books of the prophets. So, what did these wise men do? They chose portions from the books of the prophets that had thematic similarities. That every week there's a theme in the Torah reading, there's a similar reading most of the time in the Haftorah. And that's how they began. And instead of reading the Torah, they read, hopefully, at least 21 sentences from the Haftorahs. And that's how they began. They are all from the books of the prophets. None of them are from Torah. None of them are from the scriptures, the Ketuvim. And that every week we read them. And it is a channel, it is an access to watch these men and women. There were 55 recorded prophets, 48 men, 7 women. Yes, women. And these people were spiritually connected to God, and we use them today as role models for ourselves how to behave, as well as for people that we could see is the future. Isaiah, Ezekiel, these men were talking about what's going to happen in the Messianic age. So this is the part of the world of the Haftorahs that fascinated me and that drove me to learn and learn more about it. And now I've come to you to share with you what we can tell and know about the Haftorahs.